Maine, and one of the premier winter sports resorts in the country. Harry Baxter, ski school director at Sugarloaf Mountain, is seen ringing the welcoming bell here as he prepares his certified instructors for the day's lessons out on the mountain. As the instructors do line up, the 7 full-time certified people on the staff are augmented on weekends by a staff of some 25 instructors in the Sugarloaf Ski School. Sugarloaf, a mountain with one gondola lift running 9,000 feet up the face and 5 other T-bar lifts on the mountain that Harry Baxter does his great instructing. And let's hear some of his instructions from him.
I'll now take you through some of the basic maneuvers in the American technique. The one I'm doing right now is traverse, starting from the traverse position, going into a snowplow position, weight transferred to the outside ski, completing the turn and back to the traverse. As soon as the skier has been able to negotiate a turn like this, then he can handle almost any novice slope, right up probably a T-bar. Now we're taking it into the stem Christie. The only difference between the stem turn and the stem Christie, the skis are brought together before the turn is completed, or as you approach the fall line being the steeper part of the hill. We're at our beginner's slope, right in front of our base lodge right now, and I'm demonstrating the parallel turn. Parallel turn done with a pole plant. Skis kept together. Majority of the weight on your downhill ski, upper body angled over your downhill ski. Here's a good shot of Bigelow Mountain. Now we're doing parallel turn with an edge set. This is for steeper terrain, more difficult terrain, bumpy terrain. Now we're putting the turns very close together. There's no traverse at all, from one turn to the other. Skis kept close together. Body facing the fall line, the steeper part of the hill. Weight, the majority of the weight on your downhill ski. Turn should be very smooth. And another fine shot of Bigelow Mountain. Working on the traverse here. The traverse is a foundation to good parallel skiing. Taught correctly, it becomes much easier to keep your skis together in a parallel turn. Now we've added a side slip. Traverse and a side slip gives us an uphill Christie or a parallel turn. Now from a straight running position to a snowplow and to a snowplow to a stop. This is taught in the very beginning ski lesson. The 4 people we have here joined our Learn to Ski Week on Monday, and at this point we're working on beginning parallel. We started them in with a traversing exercise. We're going through the traverse position right now. Traversing is simply skiing diagonally across the hill with the skis together. There we go with one of the girls. And a little trouble keeping the skis close together. The hips came down the hill just a little bit. This causes the skis to become flat and usually will separate. That one was just a little bit better. This isn't too bad. The uphill ski is leading a little bit too much, which pulls the hip down the hill and flattening the skis. And as you saw, the tail of the skis came apart. She tried to initiate the turn by swinging the hips down the hill, and this will cause the skis to come apart. Here's an exercise that should correct that. Thrust the poles to the outside of the turn. This keeps the upper part of your body angled over the downhill ski. It keeps the hips on the uphill side of your ski. Your knees, hips, and shoulders should be facing the fall line. This is about the only way you can get good edge control. That was not too bad. She lost at the very end. And that was good. Again, a little too much ski lead that time. Now with just a little more hop, pushing the pole to the outside of the turn, the downhill pole. This will give us a little more angulation, a little more weight on the downhill ski, and therefore a little more edge control. This is what helps us keep our skis together. And he never did get the weight on the downhill ski that time. You saw what happened. That was a good one. And She tried to start the turn by throwing the hips down the hill. Now we're going to do the same thing with a pole plant. We're getting near the finished product now. Down, plant the pole up, transfer the weight to the outside the skis. And a little stem there. He was not quite ready when he started. This is a little easier if you're going faster. And she's in a poor position to start with. And as you see, the turn turned out poorly. Now we're going to put it all together and just ski down the mountain. Skiers like this can ski almost any trail on almost any mountain. They're skiing quite well and having a good time of it and skiing safely. Now I'd like to introduce some of the members of our ski school. That's myself, and first one in is Harvey Packard and John Wynn, all certified instructors. Jimmy Fitzpatrick, a local boy, been with the mountain a long time. Dick Allison, Martha Baxter, Dave Ridley, Tommy Reynolds, our racing coach, Joe Christie. Our permanent staff are all certified instructors, work on the mountain every day, and when we're not with classes, we're usually working out or skiing by ourselves. Now we're going through some of the exercises that we use in the very beginner's class. This is the first time on skis. This is a straight downhill running position. Skis kept close together, knees and ankles slightly flexed. The next exercise, simple deep knee bends. This is to teach the skier not to ski with stiff knees, just to relax a little bit. It'll also help the skiers going over bumpy terrain. Now this skier is just picking up one ski then the other. Should you cross a ski, it'd be very easy to pick that top ski up and uncross it, but if you don't practice this, sometimes it doesn't work out too well. This is a case of picking up both skis, or hopping. Very good exercise. Now this instructor is simply stepping from one side to the other, transferring the weight from one ski to another, which becomes very important when you get into your turning phases of your teaching. Now we've moved up a little higher on the mountain. We're working on a straight downhill running position to a snowplow to a stop. This is taught in Class A, the beginner's class. Very important exercise. And straight running across the hill or traversing. Now we got 3 more members of the staff demonstrating straight snowplow to a stop again. Simply by spreading the tails of the skis out just a little bit, applying a little bit more edge, the skis will stop. Weight is evenly distributed on both skis. Now the snowplow turn. Turn the skis in the snowplow position. You simply transfer the weight from one ski then the other. The majority of the weight going to the outside ski. And this is accomplished by pressing that knee forward and dropping the outside shoulder over the downhill ski. In other words, you have to lean down the hill. Very unnatural position. It has to be taught properly in the very beginning. And there we go. Snowplow turn again. Very fluid, very smooth. Notice the knee, the outside knee coming down and in. Upper part of your body facing the fall line, the steeper part of the hill. Just to transfer weight from one ski to the other. Ski tips are kept close together. And the skis are brought together and stopped. Again, 2 more members of our teaching staff. Snowplow turns. Notice the position of the shoulders. As soon as the weight hits that downhill ski, how quickly the skis will turn. This is when skiing starts to be fun. A student can ride up a T-bar and come down the slope very easily now. Now, from the snowplow position, the skis are brought together. This is called stem turn, usually taught in Class C. The skier is going a little faster now, and he's getting a first look at parallel skiing. Now we have 3 of us together, and stem turns again. Skier simply rises up from the snowplow position, brings the skis together. Skis diagonally across the hill. Little sinking motion during the turn. This puts the weight on your downhill ski. Now we're starting to have a little fun. This is parallel skiing on difficult terrain. Notice the traversing and the angulation between the turns there. The very same thing we were teaching earlier in our teaching sequence. And we're skiing down one of our trails on a mountain. Skis very close together. And back to the base lodge. Uphill Christie. Started from a traverse position, a slight sinking motion. Up, release the edge, and turn the skis. Body facing down the hill with the majority of the weight on the downhill ski. Uphill shoulder angled over the downhill ski. Now we put it together on steep terrain. We've got stem Christie here. Stemming of the uphill ski, creating a platform from which the turn is started. This follows the stem turn. It's just a little higher speed. Skis are brought close together during the fall line. Now the skier is able to ski the upper part of the mountain. Instruction is broken down into 6 different classes. Class A is the beginner, the skier that's never been on skis before. Then he works up into Class B, which is snowplow and snowplow turn. And then stem turn, which is Class C, and then on up into what we're watching now, a side-slipping exercise in stem Christie, which is Class D. Beginning parallel will be is Class E, and then the advanced class is the Class F. We're working on side-slipping now. Traverse, the edges are released, and the skier slides diagonally across the fall line. The edges are reset with a down motion. Now the uphill Christie again. Spend a lot of time teaching edge control. It's the key to parallel skiing. Exercise is far edge control. Sinking motion, bringing the skis close together, and a little bit of hop that time. This hop is very important in beginning parallel. The edges have to be changed as you change direction, and this is done with a hop. The weight is taken off the skis while the edges of the skis are changed. Here's an exercise now. Keep the weight on the downhill ski facing down the fall line. Very good exercise you can try yourself. Check yourself out from time to time, making sure that the shoulders are facing down the fall line. You can see this is just one of our many trails on the mountain. So many miles of trails you can see from the distance. A little heavy on the side there. And again, some more parallel skiing. This time with a hop. A hop to start the turn. Very smooth. Total motion. That's the way skiing should be. Now we're linking the turns very close together. This is called short swing or vadling. A very hard edge set if the terrain is steep and bumpy. Now we'll slow it down a little bit so we can see what we're actually doing here. It's smooth, but there's a very hard edge set in pole plant. And this is how we control our speed. Lots of turns with a good edge set. And you see how the skis are spraying the snow. This is the way we control our speed. And this edge set is our platform for our next turn. Shoulders facing the fall line.
It's very important in racing to exercise as much as possible, and here you see a group of the instructors with myself leading them in knee exercises where we move the knee into the hill and then out away from the hill. This helps your knee motion and coordinates it with the ankle and therefore the edge of the ski. Also, you notice the hands are held very loosely and at the side. We feel that people should be as loose as possible before going into gates in slalom or giant slalom. And as you see the instructors going across the hill here,
What you see Harry Baxter, our ski school director, doing it quite nicely. John Wynn, the assistant director, you notice has very good knee motion, and it's coordinated quite well with his pole plan. Also, Harvey Packard is doing a good job of it here. Now, David Ridley, this is new to Dave, and he doesn't quite have the motion that we're looking for. Dick is a little too much with his hips and not enough with his knees. Now we put up the gates, and once you get into the gates, you put this knee motion together with the hand motion and try to brush by the gates, first without any poles, to develop some rhythm. And you see as the next group goes through here, the boy on the left had good rhythm. Now we have Martha Baxter and Jill Christie, and you notice that their skis are quite flat and they're beginning to develop some rhythm as they go through there. We want to run the ski as quickly as possible, stay off the edge as much as possible, yet when we use the edge, we want to use it as a thrust motion to project us from one gate to another as quickly as possible. Then we bring the ski poles into it, and we try to do this without pole plant at this point, but you will see some of them using the pole plant, and we discourage this with this exercise on the flat. We'd rather have them be loose as the boy on the right here without much real pole plant. It isn't too evident. Now you have to skate into and out of turns, and this is one of the best exercises that you can perform to bring yourself along to this point. You perform this also without poles. And now, of course, comes the slalom course. This is one pole slalom. We're racing two courses, one against the other. This helps develop a little keen competitive spirit. And also, it's the point where you can come as close to the pole as you possibly can and try for speed and try to use your poles and your arms and your edges, step off the uphill ski, do all the things that we have emphasized in the exercises. Now, both of these girls run the course quite well. This is Jill Christie on the left, Martha Baxter on the right. Truly a credit to our ski school. And here you see them bombing down through there. And boy, this is keen competition. When you can get two guys on each course and one chasing the other, this helps to develop speed and gives you incentive. Martha's over there having a little drink of sap. It was in the spring of the year, and they were tapping some of those trees. Now we're doing some giant slalom turns, and turns are a little longer, and you emphasize the skating step somewhat more. Notice the quickness, step out of the gate, the initial thrust to the next gate. All of this is important when you're going against the watch. Once more, we see the ladies down through here doing a fine job. Both of these girls have a racing background. And then once again, one right behind the other, the same thing in giant slalom, trying to develop keen competitive spirit and the ability to get from one gate to the next just as fast as you can possibly go. And here, John Wynn, the assistant director, is almost catching me.
Taking a lesson in the Sugarloaf Ski School is no more difficult than just stepping up to the desk and asking one of the attractive ladies behind the desk for a lesson in the ski school, and she'll see that you get the ticket. Here we see a family signing up for a 5-day package. That is 5 days including lifts and lessons, and we see that you're never too young to start skiing as the 5-year-old youngest member of the Montgomery family gets ready with her two sisters and parents to go out and try Sugarloaf Mountain. And we know that after they've taken their 5 days of lessons in the Sugarloaf Ski School that they will be long gone from the bunny slope and its small 1,600-foot T-bar, and they may very well be headed right up the mountain, even in fact going up the gondola lift all the way to the summit, because one of the beauties at Sugarloaf is the fact that intermediate skiers can go all the way to the top of the 9,000-foot gondola and then head on down a trail called the Tote Road, some 3 miles of intermediate skiing, a trail which averages about 80 feet in width, a great run that can take as long as an hour or as short as 4 or 5 minutes, right from the summit lodge down to the base.